up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. I'm Justin Davis. Today I have a brand new e-bike for us to check out. This one is from a company called Ancheer, and it seems like on their website, in their shop, this bike has close to 5 stars, a bunch of reviews. People seem to like it, and it was like $699, and now it's like $419. So I mean, what's so special about this bike? Number one, it's cheap. Number two, it will kind of get you where you need to go from point A to point B. It's not going to get you there super fast, but I have to say it's a little faster than some of the smaller bikes I've ridden lately. This one is semi-foldable, and I say that because it doesn't fold all the way up. It only folds down at the handlebars. We can fold those down from this front part right here, goes all the way down. And out of the box, all I really had to do to put this bike together was assemble the handlebars right here, put on my phone holder, attach the bell, which is a physical bell. And we also have a horn, light button, which front light and rear brake light comes on. We have an LCD screen over here, and it has 3 different speeds. It has something called Eco. It also has something called Tour. And the highest mode is called Sport, which got me up to about 19 to 20 miles per hour max. It also has kind of a front attachable reflector, back reflector back here, and it came with fenders. So after putting on the handlebars and the seat, charging the battery up, pretty much ready to go. So $400 e-bike, I'm not expecting a lot. So I will take you out now and show you an honest review and ride of this little Ancheer Streetrider. Let's ride it together. We'll come back and I'll give you my honest opinion after we do some riding in street, light off trail, mountain bike trail, and around the neighborhood. All right, guys, let's go ahead and let's take this baby for a ride. On the screen right here, I have a readout of the battery display. We have the miles that we've ridden this bike, the 3 different modes. It has Eco mode, it has Tour mode, and Sport mode, which gets us up to about 20 miles an hour on this bike. So I'm going to go ahead and start out in Eco mode. So to power on the bike, it's super simple. Just press the power button on this side. You've got a horn here, kind of a passive aggressive horn, and you have the light switch here, which turns on and off your front light, which is kind of cool. So on a day like today, when it's kind of you know, a little bit overcast, you can turn it on, you can turn it solid on, press it one more time. So that's pretty simple. It's a pretty simple bike. It does have a twist throttle on the side that's only half of the grip, which I also like. Front and back hydraulic brakes, and pretty simple to ride. Adjustable seat post in the back, and it already has fenders, which today are going to come in handy. We also got this little flip kickstand, which you've seen on some of the other bikes. And pretty much all I had to do to put this bike together out of the box was put on the handlebars and the pedals, charge up the battery right here, and I was good to go. So I think we should do some riding. We're going to do some pavement riding. We're going to also take it down a trail with some wood chips, and on the concrete here. I'm going to test out all the modes. So in the first mode, I mean, honestly, it's not super fast. Right here, I'm just pedaling a little bit into Eco mode, and I'll go ahead and get the full speed. Full speed in Eco is like 6 miles an hour. Unassisted, without pedaling at all. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to Tour mode, and that's going to probably bring us up to close to top speed almost. Like, it's kind of strange that it would get me almost more than halfway. Right now my phone's GPS is matching up on the speedometer pretty well, 13 and 13 miles per hour right there. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go down this first trail over here. So I made it through the grass right there, and I'm telling you, it's a little bit sketchy to make it through like deep grass with these tires, especially when it's a little bit soggy out. As far as riding it down a trail like this too, like, they are small tires, so I do feel a bit of bounce on the handlebars. My hands are definitely vibrating, and I can feel that front tire slipping back and forth just a little bit on the wood chips, and that's kind of be expected. It's not like a fat tire bicycle. But we're just cruising in the Tour mode. That's the medium mode. Low, medium, and high on this bike. And I do like the fact that it has a half handlebar twist throttle right here. And I think one of my biggest takeaways on this bike too, like if you're riding it a little bit on light trails or anywhere off-road, the handlebar doesn't have a whole lot of kind of suspension from the front fork, so your hands vibrate a lot. So keep that in mind when you're riding this bike. But on the concrete, it feels like glass. It feels really good on the concrete. And again, with the small tires, I'm definitely going to watch out for wet leaves and German Shepherds. All right, let's go ahead now. We got a little straightaway here. Let's test out the top speed on this bike. And I do believe I was getting up to like 20 miles per hour. And it also says miles per hour, not kilometers on the handlebars, so that's cool on the display. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a pedal assist to get it going. And I got a little bit of a headwind, but we'll see what we get. You really do feel some of those bumps on the front handlebars on this bike. Okay, so we're up to 19. Got a little bit of an incline coming up. The other day when I rode it, it got up to 20 miles per hour. You can see my battery level drops a whole bunch on the battery status indicator because under load this battery seems to drop out, but now I went back to like 3/4 battery. So I'm gonna go ahead and go down this trail, and we're just gonna kind of see how it does in a super wet condition on what's pretty much a mountain bike trail. I've reviewed other bikes through the same area, and I'm kind of keeping this bike into like medium mode. I'm gonna really watch this hill right here. All leaves making everything extra slippery. I don't have the greatest tread on these tires, like mountain bike tread, and they're kind of small. So right now I'm in like tour mode, going up this hill. A little bit of assist right here. Got a little bit of... All right, so now this part of the trail is more like what we would consider like light trail. So this doesn't have a lot of big rocks, and it's pretty well groomed through here for like a lot of people that walk through the neighborhood. So this should be a little easier ride than like a full-on mountain bike trail, which definitely wouldn't take this bike on. But so, you know, I mean, given the bike's cost, I would say that the front suspension, it's not super great, but the seat on the back, it has pretty good amount of cushion. And even someone with a bony butt like me, I'm not really like feeling like it's a very hard ride on the back of the bike. So the back of the bike like feels pretty soft. The suspension, like the ride from the back of the bike, feels fine. It's just my hands are vibrating a lot on these front handlebars when I go off-road. But again, like when I get on the road, and I think that's what this bike's made for, it feels super smooth, like smooth as glass. So right through here it gets like super muddy. I know it's kicking up a whole bunch of water and mud underneath the bike. We could kind of stop and check that out in a minute. And I'm still chilling in like tour mode here, coming up to the road right here. So I'm going to slow down. Generally what I do is I turn off electric assist when I come up to a stop sign, so it doesn't throw me into traffic accidentally. Some of the bikes will do that. Some of the bikes have a new feature where like actually if you brake, it turns off the motor and disengages the motor, which is cool. This bike's cheaper, so it doesn't really have that type of option. But this trail right here where I rode the other day, there's a whole bunch of gravel and stuff through here. You can see this front fork is vibrating a whole lot, like right there. That's a good shot of the front fork. So, you know, if you have like a gravel road or something to your house, it's gonna be pretty bumpy through there. My hands were almost numb the last time I rode down this trail at speed. Gotta watch out for those unseen bumps, especially riding one-handed like that. But it can, okay, so that's the second time my phone has fallen off this phone holder, so I don't recommend the Haybike phone holders at all. Made it through the meat of that. Now, I definitely feel like after that trail ride through there, I feel some fatigue. Some fatigue on my hands, for sure. All right, we're off the trails now, and everything has smoothed out like a whole lot. So I'm gonna go ahead and go up a gear. Oh, it went down to 0. Eco, Tour, now all the way up to sport mode. So you guys can see the front suspension there, that front light. I got the rear brake light. I just like how like simple this bike is. It really is like a simple bike. So now we're coming up to speed here. I'm back up to 18 miles an hour. See if we can get it up to 20. I don't have my phone on this holder anymore because it kind of sucks. All right, I'm taking a little bit of a hill right here. This is about a 25% incline. Give it a little pedal assist. Starting to rain again, of course. And it's funny because this company, Ancheer, is like, they're super aggressive on me getting this review done, and I keep telling them that like it's been raining every day, and I was wondering if we could ride this bike in the rain. So this would be a good test for that. We'll look at it when we get back to the studio for some final comments on this bike. Now, one other comment about like the braking on this bike is that it seems to almost like brake a little extra harder than what I would expect, and I guess that's because it's a pretty small front tire and rear tire. It does have front and back brakes, but the brakes work great. And yeah, so let's head back to the backyard real quick, and I'll give you guys some honest commentary on like, you know, who this bike is for and if I recommend it at all. Here we go. So that was an interesting ride. Welcome back from the bike test. The Ancheer Streetrider $400 half-ease folding bike with dual suspension. It has much smaller tires than what I'm used to riding, and it is much smaller from front to back, but it does have enough power to get you going and feel like you're on like a full-size e-bike when you're riding it on the street. Like I was getting up to a maximum of about 20 miles per hour, which is really about the fastest I'd want to go on something this small. Kind of looking out for those bumps and things like that. With the front handlebars, you really do feel those bumps on the street, and especially when you're like off-road on light trail, you really do get a huge impact on the front because the suspension in the front, it's not quite as nice as the suspension on the back. There is a big shock back here, which gives you a nice ride, and the seat is big enough that it feels comfortable. It's not constantly poking you on the butt, or it doesn't feel like a hard hit when you hit something big. But I noticed that the front fork has a ton of vibration. So as I'm riding, there's just a whole bunch of vibrations on my hands, causing like extra fatigue. If you're riding down light trail or something like a cedar shake trail or something like that, wood chips, really the bike front tires is so small that it really does kind of get uncomfortable after a while. So I feel like if the grips were a little bit smaller and there was a way to adjust the front suspension, it's non-adjustable suspension up here. So there's no way to unlock it or lock the front suspension. And it seems like the suspension are kind of an afterthought for this particular product. Seems kind of like the low end of front fork suspension, but it is super small. It's almost like clown bike status on this little tiny bike. It's super small, but it's cool that they have everything built up in the box. Putting it together was easy. I just put the front handlebars on, slapped the seat on, I put the pedals on, and it was pretty much ready to go. I also today, since it's still raining outside, I appreciated the front and back fenders on here. The front fender did great. I don't have any mud or any water drops on my jeans at all. A little bit of mud on my shoes from just riding around with my feet low to the ground. But in the back here, this was kind of sticking up quite a bit like this. So if you get this bike, make sure this back fender is pushed down like this, and it'll avoid a lot of that spin up on the back of your seat. So it came up around the back of my seat and got the back of my jeans a little bit wet, but not enough to where it was like super uncomfortable. So think about that if you're going to ride this one in the rain. I mean, and aside from like super vibrating handlebars on the front, I like the fact that it does have a pretty good light in the front and a brake light that you can see in the back. So when I'm going around the neighborhood, I don't feel like cars can't see me coming up behind me. That's kind of nice because it really is a low profile kind of bike. But it's fun. It's super lightweight. It can go in your car. It fits inside my Prius with the door closed, no problem. I don't even have to fold it down. I don't even have to fold down the front fork. It just fits, and it's pretty portable and probably should fit in just about anyone's car. And if you're going to buy this for your kid, You can also adjust the seat all the way down. So if someone is a little bit shorter, anybody from, you know, a little bit under 5 foot could fit on this bike pretty easily. And if you're taller, around 5'10", 6 foot, 6'3", you can raise this seat up pretty damn high actually. And for transport again or storage, you can just take the seat off and it goes back in just like that and locks down. And overall, for like riding it around the neighborhood and like short commutes and things like that, I think this what this bike's for. It's portable, it's cheap, it's lightweight, it's easy to put in your car or store at work. And if the battery dies, you can still pedal it like a regular bike. So I have to say, I think they did a pretty good job on this one. It reminds me of some of the other previous tiny bikes that came out years ago on the Banggood website. And this one's not one of those bikes. It's just another random company that I had not ridden any bikes from yet. And this is my first one from Ancheer. So I have to say, like, for a cheap bike, portable bike, and something that'll get you to point A to point B, that's a pretty easy bike to ride. So not so much an off-road bike, but it does great on the street and around the neighborhood. Thanks again for watching our bike reviews, guys. I'm Justin Davis. Take care. Check out the link down below, and I will see you on the next one. Bye-bye.